How you folks doing there? James Klim here. I want to answer a question that I see on my online site and on my social media and here on YouTube. And I'm going to go ahead and read that. It's about milling. Now, how we mill is based off of our burr set and which milling unit we're using. Now, here I'm talking about the CEREC milling units. We have both the MCXL and we have the prime mill. But this is for the MCXL, so this question came in. This viewer does not have the prime mill, so they were asking a few questions of how can you mill out veneers if you don't have the ability to use extra fine mill. I'm a big fan of extra fine mill, both with the MCXL and that prime mill. It works so well. So here's the question, and I want to answer that. How can I manage the mill except for the extra fine mill? And that's for veneers. What mode do I use? Meaning, I guess, the speed and the occlusal offset, so I will not have chipping. What are other parameters that are necessary? I'm going to go ahead and play a video that was recorded when I used OmniCam and the MCXL. It still applies today. Now, occlusal offset for my MCXL, even with the prime scan, is still negative 175. My occlusal offset, which you can set for prime mill, all you do is go into settings and then you find the prime mill icon and you have the ability to set your occlusal offset there. However, for prime mill, I've been using factory default of 0 and it's been working just fine. So this video is going to apply more towards the MCXL. So this is a video from the past, even though it's done with OmniCam. The principles are the same when you're milling with your MCXL. So how do I optimize my mill for the MCXL for fine mill? That's where it's going to perform a little better than the prime mill. And that is on the left side, we have the 12 burr. Most people using MCXL are using the 12S. The tip of that burr is about 1.35, similar to what we have on the prime mill, which is 1.4. That means you get more overmill on the inside. Now, if you use your MCXL with the 12 burr, that's about 0.85 to 0.95 based on who made the burrs. The beauty of that is you'll get a better marginal mill. There's more passes with it, so that means it takes a little longer, but it's not significant, maybe 30 to 40 seconds more. In addition to that, you're going to get less internal overmill, which is advantage of the MCXL. I know, it's the way it is. That's one reason why I'm going to the PM7, which is a puck miller with autoclave. So I'm expanding my portfolio so I can do more conservative preps, particularly anteriorly. We're going into these really thin veneers that are 300 microns thick. And if you cover the incisal edge, you're going to get overmill and it may even penetrate the ceramic. Whereas with the 5 milling axis and fine burrs, it's pretty much a pressable mill. But that's for another video. But I will have those other videos on this YouTube channel. So let's go ahead and get into this video about how do I manage my MCXL, particularly with occlusal offset. And then for your marginal parameter, if you're not using extra fine mill, make sure you pop it up to 120 with the 12 burr. You gotta use the 12 burr. Then you won't see chipping on the margin. And if you get just a little serrated chipping, it'll be on the outside of the margin. So you can take the finishing silicone well and just slightly feather that and polish it back to your true margin, and that little micro chipping is, it's gone. Let's get into the video. Hi, my name is James. It's good to see you folks. I get this question often in my classes and emails online is, what's the true thickness of a restoration and how is that impacted by the parameters, right? So let's review that. What I have done here recently is I've milled out multiple restorations with different parameter settings, and then we go ahead and measure those. This should bring back some memories from dental school. We're going to use this thickness caliber to measure the thickness of our restorations. Now we're into the 100 micron range. This is not quite that precise, but we'll call it plus and minus 25 microns. I think it will be adequate for our discussion. Now in this case, in order to measure the thickness of the restoration, tooth number 3 was designed with a nice flat area in the central fossa so we could easily measure that thickness. And then we took the depth gauge, which is the cursor detail, Control D, that will turn it on for you, or you can go to this side palette under the analyzing features. But a quick way to do that is Control D on your keyboard. Keyboards are really important to us. If you know the shortcuts, you can be more proficient with this software. When the restoration was designed, we created a 2mm thickness, and that's from the central pit of number 3 to the prep. Now, historically, we've always understood that the thickness of a restoration should be the thickness that you would see in a cursor detail minus the spacer. Now, in this case, to start with, what we did is we milled out a restoration with 0 spacer, so that means it's not going to fit on the die, it won't go down. And we used 0 occlusal offset. Those are the two parameters that really can impact the thickness of a restoration. What we found out is when we measured the thickness using 0 spacer and 0 occlusal offset, is that our thickness was 2 millimeters plus 0.175, just about in that area. We couldn't get what we call an exact measurement in microns, but we'll stay plus and minus 25 microns, right? Just for the sake of our conversation. So our initial restoration was created at 2 millimeters thick. We found that if you use the factory setting of 0 occlusal offset, and that's now in the manufacturer screen, and then to establish a good baseline, we used 0 spacer. That gave us a restorational thickness of 2.175 thickness. So logically thinking, you're going, okay, we're thicker than we thought. So what would make that difference? It has to be occlusal offset. The parameter occlusal offset basically is a communicational device to your milling system. It doesn't show up on your screen, nor does it show up in the metrics of your screen. Your screen is neutral to occlusal offset. So the next step that we took with a tested milled restoration is that we went ahead and added 100 microns of spacer and milled that out. What we found out is that our thickness did change. It came down 100 microns. So now with occlusal offset of 0, which is a factory setting, we found that our restoration was still 75 microns thicker than 2 millimeters. Well, this is starting to make sense because historically, the way I've always modified my occlusal offset and calibrated that in my clinical theater is to take biocopy, and it used to be called correlation, and take a biocopy, machining out multiple restorations, and keep changing the occlusal offset until we had a perfect fit from a biocopy, right? Logically, that should speak. Now, historically, for years, going way back in the versions of the software, the occlusal offset, which is a communicational metric to my milling units, has always been negative 150 to negative 175. So at 0, from what we're observing here, when your occlusal offset is 0 using the MCXL, and you have to calibrate your particular milling unit, that your ceramic is going to be thicker than what you designed on your screen. So we have to modify that. The third restoration that was milled out is the metrics that we use here in our Klim practice. Spacer of around 100 microns. In this case, we're going to use 100. Sometimes I'll bump it up to 110 to 130 and down to 80 based on the nature of the prep and the material. And that's in another video. So spacer is 100 microns, occlusal offset negative 175. So logically speaking, the thickness of this restoration should be 1.9, right? Minus the 100. So what we found out from this mill is a conclusion that I've used for years in managing CEREC, is that the occlusal offset should always be equal to 0. But in this case, when it is actually at 0, it's 175 microns too thick. And that's why the occlusion is high when you look at that. So let's go through this logically here. I want my occlusal offset. In other words, when it mills, I want it to be 0. However, in the metric system today, 0 is equal to negative 175. And I think that's the core thrust of this video. When your occlusal offset is negative 175, it should equal 0. So biocopy at negative 175, when you mill that restoration, that occlusion should be pretty much what you scanned in and proposed without changing anything, right? That's how we figure this out. So my whole logic here is I want my occlusal offset to equal what I see on my screen. So when your occlusal offset is at 0, it actually adds additional ceramic to your occlusal thickness, and that's why your restorations are high if you don't calibrate that. So what this is telling me in my clinical theater, when my occlusal offset is -175, biocopy should be spot on. Now when I add it to biogeneric individual and modify my occlusal surface so I don't have to touch my occlusion, if at all, and there's buccal scans and certain ways to take the bite to make sure that works, but I want my metrics to be consistent. So my occlusion is impacted by two primary parameters, occlusal offset and occlusal contact strength, right? So occlusal contact strength, -50, occlusal offset, -175. That's how it works in my clinical theater. That consistency has been there for a long time. I've heard other colleagues say that your true thickness of your ceramic should be minus the spacer and occlusal offset. Well, what we found from this little exercise today is that when you use a right occlusal offset, so your occlusion's dialed home, your thickness is actually the true cursor detail that you see on the screen minus the spacer. And I think that's the point I'm trying to make. So anteriorly, do I need to make my occlusal offset 0 so my restorations aren't too short? Well, we tried that out as well, and what you'll find here is the photograph on the right is where we have a 0 occlusal offset. You can see that restoration is longer. Whereas on the left side, we placed in our historical -175 for occlusal offset, and we found that to pretty much match what we designed on the screen with the proper length. Now, quite often anteriorly, I may add just a little length so I have a little room to work with, particularly the closer I get to that midline. So what do I use for my occlusal offset on veneers if the occlusion isn't impacted, right? So if there's a crown, I'm definitely going to use -175. Now on veneers, I may leave my occlusal offset at maybe -50, so I have maybe a little over 100 microns to work with on shaping, and that can save some headaches in design and finishing. But academically speaking, what you see on the screen should be what mills out. And that's what we saw in this case here. At -175, it's what we designed on the screen with the length and the incisal brazier form, particularly there at the midline. So I tried to make this video relative to you and also clarify by the studies and testing that I've done here at the Klim Institute. So thank you for watching. Just make sure you have your occlusal offset set properly so you're not adjusting that occlusion in, because I don't like to do that. So I will see you folks, you great folks, in the next video. Talk to you later now. Okay, there we have it. Milling and assessing what all the metrics mean, particularly with the occlusal offset. If you have any questions or comments, make sure you post them below. I want to hear what you have to say, particularly on this YouTube channel. I appreciate the comments that are left, and I really try to get back to those that are posted. Okay, so I'll see you folks in that next video real soon. Bye now.